the way, and he's using his drive and his skill to encourage others to find their way, not only just in the entertainment part of entertainment, but the business of entertainment. He is the founder of Creative Cypher, and he joins us now. Welcome. Can you hear? Can anybody hear me? I can't hear you either. Hold on. Oh, thank you, Joan. Okay, can you? I can't hear you either. Hold on. Oh, thank you, Joan. Okay, can you?
Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There you are.
All right,
Hi.
awesome. How are you?
And somebody's whistling at us. We must look cute too. Welcome to today's Chat and Chill. Let's talk a little bit about your story. Why did you want to be a storyteller?
Wow, for me, I came up in a family full of clergy, and so I was very familiar and comfortable with this idea of speaking to audiences in some way, shape, or form. I've been in the pulpit since I was 13, and I was raised to be a minister, although that's not necessarily the path that I took per se. I still am in the pulpit every once in a while, but it informed me or positioned me to communicate with audiences. And then when I got the opportunity to be a talent on camera, eventually the desire to not only be in front of the camera led to me wanting to get in a position where I could then tell those stories. I grew up being able to speak to crowds. I got the opportunity to be in front of the camera, but ultimately I was telling someone else's story. Mm-hmm. And so I knew it was time at some point where I could get behind the camera and start telling my own story and helping others do the same.
Which do you think has been more fulfilling? Presenting ideas or telling your own stories?
Well, it's definitely telling my own stories. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to bring projects to life, whether it's been through digital web series or features or a few projects that hopefully will be coming to Chicago pretty soon. Just the idea to have the ability and the platform to do that takes me back to having a purpose, because everything that I've been a part of, especially in the last couple of years, takes me back to this idea of, if you have this platform, it's to be used to provide a positive impact to the world. And so being able to tell my own stories for me is not just about being an executive producer or supporting content creation. It's about leveraging our platform to do great works.
Let's talk about the way content creation has changed, dramatically, even over the last 10 years. But certainly I think there's been probably a slow progression over the last 2 decades, but with just like a complete speed recently with YouTube and social media and all of the online opportunities that there are. Has that changed creativity for the better, or has it flooded the industry?
It's a balance between both. It has flooded, yes, because the access to distribution is totally different now. You have the ability to put whatever you want online, or whether it's through YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, and the democratization of it is great in the macro sense. But from a commercially viable standpoint, from a business standpoint, you still have to vet everything. It still has to be quality. So for an individual that's looking for their next show, their next project, or an entity looking to invest in something, they do have to sift through so much more. Now, I was fortunate enough to co-chair new media for SAG-AFTRA Chicago for some time. So I was able to see how that was democratizing from the commercial space, then moving over. Similar things happened in music that then started to branch over. But I will say that idea of not needing to move to a particular location has empowered a lot of creatives that otherwise would have felt they would not have had a platform, or they would not have had a voice. I'm so happy. We had a project 2 years ago that was a digital series we were able to do for a modest budget under a new media contract, and we were able to get a major well, Warner Media picked up the project, and now it's being optioned for one of their streaming services. But that would have never happened if we weren't able to first do that smaller digital project and
Right.
able to get some type of traction online in that capacity. So it's a great conduit to do more things, but like with anything else, you still have to use it with care, because the last thing you want is to put something out there that isn't quality and now everybody can see it at the same time, because that's
Mhm.
just another thing you have to be conscious of.
How do people monetize? Because I think the pedestrian YouTube user sees ads in front of their favorite. They're searching for some hair demo, and they pull it up, and it's a familiar face, or it's got a lot of subscribers, and so they click on that, and they see an ad, or there's a mention in the comments, for expensive. How do people make money on YouTube and on social media? Because we know they're doing it. I don't think most people know how that works.
Yeah, so the algorithms can be a little tricky. If we're specifically talking about YouTube, I believe we haven't necessarily monetized YouTube. We've primarily used it for marketing purposes, but for those that actually use it within their business model for monetizing, I believe they do a 60-40 split. The algorithm has to hit a certain point, and you have to have a certain, I think, 1,000 viewers per post, and then you can start to see some type of traction. But you really do, for anyone listening, you really have to hit a significant amount of numbers for it to be a sustainable thing. But there are individuals. PewDiePie is a guy from Sweden. He commentates his own video game performance. So he'll play his video games, and in the little box, you'll see him talking about the game, and he was able to generate $12.3 million a year off of that. So one of the key things with this is very similar to other mediums, is that you have to know your audience. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about individuals that are monetizing it, they're not just throwing stuff on YouTube. They are being strategic about it. So I want to be clear to not paint this rosy picture that you're
Kind
just
of
able to throw.
flippant, fly by night.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you still have to have a game plan. You still need to understand, your audience. Need to understand it's a business deal, that YouTube or Google is going to get their piece of it. But that's just through viewers. As you mentioned, individuals have pre-rolls, which are those commercials that come on before, sometimes in the middle. You can work with an aggregator or a company that will help you broker some of those deals. What you ultimately want, and it takes time, because you have to at some point in time have the title of influencer or something of that function, where you can just do a direct deal with the brand. And whether you
Mm-hmm.
use that term or not, the idea is that the brand is coming directly to you because of what you're able to do. So you can now take that through YouTube, Instagram. There's a really good documentary on HBO Max or Netflix. It's called Fake Famous, but it just talks about how certain people were able to leverage their YouTube and how they're able to monetize it directly with the brand, charging 100 up to 500 grand per post, depending on who they are. So it's amazing what's possible if you nurture that tool properly.
Let me ask you this, and this is producer to producer. I have a difficult time with self-appointed experts or self-anointed influencers with no real credibility to back up the claim. They're a good talker, quick on their feet, but they don't necessarily have the depth that I think an audience is looking for when we say someone is an expert or when you say someone is an influencer. What have you found, especially in this new media, because that's really not my foray, but in the new media with creative content as well as kind of that presenting, information or spokesperson kind of content, has it made it difficult to for people who are legitimate experts or do have a wealth of information to share, to compete with the new hot thing, the young person who's got the great background and knows all the hashtags
Mhm.
to use.
Yeah.
And how is the competition affecting the business side?
So I can speak on that from two perspectives.
Right.
Uh, as an actor, I can remember going into audition several years ago, and this new question started to pop up on the calls on the list or in the audition, and that's how many followers do you have? Now
Ugh,
you're talking about performers that are coming from Second City,
right.
Steppenwolf, spent years honing their craft, and they walk into this audition and they want to know their followers because that brand also wants to know how can they leverage that on top of your talent on camera. And that was a real eye opener to me from an acting standpoint, from a subject matter expert standpoint. When you think about who sits on panels, who gets to sit at round tables, who gets um, to leverage and monetize this title of being a
Mhm.
subject matter expert, I think it certainly has 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 clouded that market. Because you have individuals that, I- again, I can think of. There was a makeup artist. I'll never forget. This was a couple years ago. I was in New York for a project and I saw all these billboards. And this was the first time I started to notice that YouTube influencer craze. And there were billboards for people that were um, putting on tutorials on
Mhm.
YouTube. And when you do a little research, one of the individuals was doing makeup tutorials, and you find out like that person wasn't licensed. They didn't like have a huge background. However, they garnered a bunch of attention
Right.
and they were able to monetize it through their brand endorsements. So I think it reminds me of this conversation between a great actor and a movie star,
Hmm.
and it's very
There's a
similar.
difference.
It's
A
very
lot of people
similar.
don't realize that. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
often the same, but there is a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't knock the hustle. Look, get the bag, as the kids
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Get the bag,
But
man.
it does impact the way business is done.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Creative Cipher. What was the idea behind it, and how has it been a valuable tool?
So when it originally started, I was told if I wanted to take my career seriously, I needed to move to LA. Now there are elements of truth in the idea that you need to have access
Mhm.
to places. But coming from this background of seeing business leaders, community leaders, I knew that that also meant that there was an opportunity to do something different. So when I built Creative Cipher, it was taking some of the information and knowledge that uh, I, I grasped from being on a lot of boards. So I was on the board for several unions and organizations that were looking to evolve. And I was in the right place at the right time. What happened was I was able to broker deals and be a familiar face for a lot of Black and brown millennial content creators.
Mm.
And I would help them flip their projects from non-union to union because I understood the contracts. And long story short, I made them very comfortable. So projects would come my way to help add value to the project. So with that, I started to build this network of creators that essentially worked as a co-op, and nothing new about that. Just pulling resources, making sure that we can collaborate with one another, decreasing overhead, increasing the quality of our projects, and then
Mhm.
that continued to evolve into a not-for-profit, which is now called Cypher Foundation. And we started to do programs, live events, and ultimately it was all about supporting Black and brown content creators, giving them access to resources, putting on programs, connecting with institutions that were looking to attract more D&I, more millennials. And when that continued to evolve, I then took a step back after maybe about 5 or 6 years, and we had done some great programs. But I noticed I had aggregated this wide network, this large ecosystem of creatives. So then I created a separate entity, which is called Creative Cipher. So there's Cipher Foundation, and then there's the Cipher, which is our for-profit entertainment company that focuses on content creation, sales, marketing, and live events. So I was then able to look at that large network and say, my goal was to create some type of infrastructure highway where they could all connect with one another and build projects. Well, now I'm in a position to broker because we essentially what I call the bank. We own the bank. We have access to what we need and we can broker. So that opened up the door to now producing content that we've got major networks optioning and buying now. But it was all because we originally just said we have to eliminate the need for permission. We
Mm-hmm.
have to work together. We have to pull our resources and we have to be able to create content that is not just here today, gone tomorrow, but to really look at it from a holistic standpoint, especially as a black man in entertainment. Uh, this idea of just being talented is not enough. It's like I have to look at it from a holistic standpoint to where every facet of the business I can tap into. Because if I'm just bringing you a script, or if I'm just saying watch this link or listen to this track, you're bombarded with that as an
Mm-hmm.
executive. So what other conversation can I have with you to provide value to your business opposed to just saying I have this dope piece of IP? And so now that's what I've been able to leverage and build the cipher into.
Yeah, truly, it sounds like as opposed to the kind of idiom, everyone needs a seat at the table. You've built a table, and you're inviting people to come eat with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's important. How has the pandemic impacted what you do?
I mean, it shut us down for live events for sure. I remember for the date, May 21st. We had a big event, May 21st last year. We had over 100 events rolling out in Chicago, LA, Atlanta, and the UK, all shut down.
Mm-hmm.
A small portion of them, depending on the type of event, were able to move virtually. But for the most part, 90%, all that stuff was shut down as far as live events. So any red carpets, any premieres, anything that was supportive of the IP or the content we were supporting was shut down. Also, production was shut down. So we really weren't able to create anything new. We had a series that's now in post. Thankfully, we were able to start back up a couple of months ago, but there reached a point where the whole thing was shut down. So we couldn't produce anything. So we had to look at what do we have in our catalog that we can leverage.
Mm-hmm.
The show that I was actually referring to that Warner picked up was already shot. So we were then able to start the conversation of licensing. We licensed it with a streaming platform over the summer, and then that platform, due to the pandemic, wind up going under. So we got the IP rights back, which was a blessing in disguise because
Mm-hmm.
obviously the bigger fish came and got it. But we definitely had to look at what have we already produced and we have in the bank. What do we have saved up to
Mm-hmm.
just keep the momentum going?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that this is it was obviously a very challenging time for so many. I do believe that many of us are savvier. We've gotten sharper with our business models. We've learned how to use new tools that can help amplify.
Mm-hmm.
We start to prioritize what do we actually need in that budget, or are there ways without jeopardizing the quality or integrity of your project? Does every meeting need to be 3 hours? Can
No.
it be an hour? And so, you start to look at it and say, well,
Right.
let's look at let's be resourceful. We're forced to be resourceful. But on the other side of this, if you can apply what you've learned, then I believe we'll all be in a much better position if we apply what we learned.
For sure. Every age of enlightenment came from a period of darkness. So this is us coming out of this, season sharper, smarter, savvier, like you said, and everybody with a firm grasp, or at least a better grasp of the tools that are available to us. Did you graduate well into virtual, production and content?
You know, it was a pretty, as far as virtual goes, it was a pretty smooth transition because the only thing that we were really producing were these virtual panels and shows at
Mm-hmm.
that point. And a huge amount of what I do outside of producing or coaching is public speaking. So it was just another stage for me. So right now I'm just sitting talking. I'm doing the same thing I would do if we were in person. There are little nuances. There's some logistics that you learn about what works on Chrome and what works on,
Right.
other things. But otherwise, I'm very grateful that I was able to use uh, my background as a speaker to transition over to doing this. So it went from me standing on stage hosting a panel to now doing it, through StreamYard or Ustream or something of that nature. As far as the other like normal productions, that stuff was shut down. So we weren't really figuring out how to do it. We just knew that until things opened up and it was safe, uh, there was a no-go on some of those projects. Once we started to get back up, then you had to implement COVID compliance officers. Your budget would start to raise. I mean, there are projects I've seen budgets, they've added additional 20K just because of the precautionary steps you
Mm-hmm.
have to take because of COVID. You're testing beforehand, your evaluations when you come in, all of the PPE that you have to have on set. So it's definitely changed things. But again, I hope it's just informed us how to take a safer and a better approach with our
Right.
business as we move forward.
The one of the trademarks of leadership is and production, a producer truly is the ability to replicate that success. So for the next generation, what is the secret to your success that they can follow to replicate it?
Ooh, secret. I never use that word because like it's no secret.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like
That is
yo,
not a secret.
it's
What's
hard.
the best piece of advice you can share?
Always remain a student, no matter what
Mm,
level. There's always gonna look at the pandemic. You got huge billion-dollar companies trying to rethink their business models and their solutions. As a creative, uh, you know, that's the way a lot of our minds work already. We are, problem solvers or
right.
solutionists is what I call it. We just happen to use that skill set in the creative space. You're a producer. What is a producer? That's a very vague title. It's like, what are you doing on that project? Ultimately, you're a solutionist and you're making it happen. Whatever
Right.
the problems are, you're solving those problems, and every project has its own problems to solve. But as a emerging creator, I would say humility, remaining a student. If you can, be a mentor and get a mentor because you're never done learning. You're never done learning. And I would also say understanding that it is a process. The creative journey is a process. So it's, you think you finish something, and I I can guarantee you when this call is over, I'm going to say, oh, I should have said this.
Mhm.
So it's just under being kind to yourself to understand that you're always going to learn, and if you can keep an open mind and be receptive, then your art and your creativity will be that much more powerful.
That's awesome. Where can folks find you online?
Sure, my Instagram, you can follow me on social media at Troy O. Pryor. That's actually my name at the bottom left hand corner there, Troy
Mhm.
O. Pryor. You can also follow the company at Creative Cipher. You can see whatever we do is pretty much live there. You can go to the website, which is watchdecipher.com or troypryor.com.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Uh, so that there's your tips, folks, for making a content creation. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone wants the platform to tell their story, but you don't always know how or have the access. So there's your map. Follow it, and if you get lost, he told us how to contact him. Up next, we're going to talk to three friends from Chicago South Side who were frustrated with a need they encountered and decided to meet it, and not only satisfied what they wanted to accomplish, but it is creating job opportunities and inspiration across the city, and I expect at some point, if not already, across the country. They are the founders of the Black Bread Company. Let's welcome Charles Alexander, Mark Edmond, and Jamel Lewis. We got everybody with us.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
Doing
good.
very well. We're so glad to be here with you, of course, and of course on Next Showcase. So we're excited to be here. We are all actually out in the field working
Okay,
on the
good.
Black Bread Company as we speak. But of course, we definitely wanted to stop and take as much time as we could with you guys. So thank you all for opening up this and sharing this platform with us today.
Sure, we appreciate it. There's the saying that you know, there's nothing better than you know, whatever it's the next best thing. It's a sliced bread. You all decided to take sliced bread and create the seeds of an empire. Tell me the story, because I don't know who it was, but I know someone was frustrated in a grocery store.
Yeah. So as the guys are getting logged on here now, actually, Mark Edmond, it's the three of us: Charles, Mark, of course, and myself. Like you said, I don't see Mark, but I guess I hear Mark. Maybe Mark can tell it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
They can't see us for some reason. We're here.
Okay. Yeah. My camera is on. I'm not sure, you know, why you can't see me, but you know, at least you can hear me. So yes, my name is Mark Edmond. I am the director of sales for the Black Bread Company. How it got founded was, like you were saying earlier, Ms. Martin, is just through frustration. I traded, and I was really conscious of exactly where I wanted my money to go. You know, for so many years, you know, just like many of us, I've been just shopping, buying whatever I need, and without a thought of where my money is going. So during this time, I was focused that I was going to support African American owned companies, things of that nature. So I made that up in my mind. So I had a grocery list. At the top of that list was bread. I went directly to the bread aisle, and instantly I started Googling every single company that I could possibly see and Google in that aisle. I was in the aisle for about 35, 45 minutes. And that's when I realized that, at least in this particular store, that there was not any African American owned gourmet slices of bread companies. So out of frustration, I left, called my best friends, Charles. Then we got Jamel on the line, and from there, the Black Bread Co. was born.
So you're Googling bread, the frustration is building. You decide, you know, we could do this, but having the idea to do something and the ability to do it are two different things. Have you ever baked anything before this?
Me personally, I have not baked anything. I did about 9 to 10 years ago. My brother and I, we did have a gourmet popcorn shop that was first started in South Holland, and then eventually we had a second location on the south side of Chicago, and that eventually did go into stores, into shelves. We was at Jewel's and a couple other stores throughout Chicagoland area. So that's how I guess could say got the experience of how to, you know what I'm saying, how to find packaging, how to deliver the bread. Then once we start focusing on a recipe, you know, we want to make sure that we had the highest quality bread, because it wasn't just about supporting because we're African Americans, but it was about really buying a high quality product at the end of the day. So we went through thousands of recipes until we narrowed it down to a last, like maybe down to like 10 different recipes. And then when we got to that very last recipe, it was like, this is it. Like, this has to be the premium white bread, because it's soft, it's delicious, it's super fresh, it sticks to the top of your mouth. You know, it's an incredible slice of bread. And the same thing with the honey wheat that we have. Like, you could taste the honey, and at the same time you can actually taste the wheat. You know, we don't have any fillers in our bread. You know, so it's just a high quality, you know, as healthy as regular bread can be. This would be that gold standard for sure.
And I wonder, is the lesson there that if you know, I think when people are trying to think of starting a business or what it looks like to be an entrepreneur, they have in their head, well, I have to know everything. If I wanted to start a fashion business, I need to know how to sew. I need to know, you know, the depths and furthest reaches of fashion history. I need to have all the money together. I need to have a plan. You all, between the three of you, took advantage of everyone's skills and talents. And you did the things that you knew how to do, building on experience that you already had. What's your advice to people that want to do something and maybe haven't narrowed it down, haven't discovered a spark like you did in the grocery aisle, but know that they want to do something, they have an interest, but they don't feel like they have everything together? And anyone can answer that.
You go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, I think first we appreciate being here. just being able to talk about our story on the next showcase. This is a big deal to us, so thanks for the invite. We trusted each other, right? This business was started during the pandemic, right? Everyone didn't have jobs, but when Mark called us with the idea, we said we had to do it because representation matters, right? And so, and even though we didn't have all the details or have all the experience, what we did have is ingenuity, right? And we had Google, and we had resources. So we buckled down and we got to work. We were very private about the Black Bread Company for 8 or 9 months, literally until we launched. Only people knew our wives, literally. We met weekly, 3-4 hour Zoom meetings, bringing all our resources together, having action items, and we focused. And so what I would say is just, move in silence, trust your instincts, and most importantly, don't think you know it all, right? We were so open to, we knew what we didn't know, right? We found the resources, we found people with the skill sets that can assist us along the way. So that'd be a bit of advice, trust your instincts, trust and know what you don't know, and find those that can assist you along the way.
Yeah. The key to a good sandwich, obviously, is the bread. What's your favorite sandwich? What do you like to eat between your bread?
Well, I'm a PB&J guy.
Okay.
Everybody pretty much knows
a
that.
Classic man, I see.
Yeah, any interview I do, and my daughter is now as well. My daughter, she turns 3 this month, and she's been eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches forever, right? At this point, her 3 years of life. And so it's a quick go-to. But to your point, the way you know if a bread is really good is when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Is it cracking, right? Is it tearing apart, or is it holding well? Especially if it's crunchy peanut butter. Seriously. Right. And so that's how we knew right away. Like this is it, because our bread is very fluffy. It's soft and it's delicious. Yeah, peanut butter and jelly is my go-to.
That's great. Anybody else? How does it grill?
With avocado toast.
Avocado toast. Okay.
Yeah. Normally it'd be avocado toast, but recently I just tried a beef.
We can't hear you. I see you very passionately talking about your beef brisket sandwich, but I can't hear you. That's okay. You know what?
You have to go out, maybe come back in. I don't know. Yeah.
I've been on the web. The website is a beautiful, slick, professional-looking website. I love the gold and the black and the logo, and on the website. Who do we still have with? I think we still have Charles with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you guys going to put recipes up there?
Yeah, so we've been working with a few
different for recipes.
Yeah, we've been working with a few different chefs, and also if you go on our Instagram page, Black Bread Co., you'll actually see different recipes we've posted from various chefs. So soon we're gonna add like weekly recipes on our website that you can make, of course, with our bread.
That's
so
great.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
That's great. That's great. I love a sandwich. I love to eat them. I love to make them, and just sometimes you just look at the sandwich because it's pretty and you don't want to mess it up just yet. So
and I'm sorry.
I eat bread.
Instagram is the Black Bread Co. The Black Bread Co.
Sounds good. Where can folks find the bread?
So when we launched on February 1st to commemorate Black History Month, and that was important for us. And we thought, we'd start out just being local in some Chicago stores, and maybe Midwest. But as soon as we launched, we instantly became a nationwide business, nationwide company. People from all over the U.S. wanted Black Bread Co. And so, with that said, you can make your purchases online at blackbreadco.com. Again, blackbreadco.com. You can choose between a honey wheat or the premium white. For now, we have 3 more coming soon: the hot dog buns, hamburger buns, and also multi-grain.
In time for summer?
Yes, of course, right? We got to get in time for the barbecues, right? The Juneteenth celebrations, and they're going to be pretty big this year. And so we have a lot more options coming. But again, also, if you're in the Chicagoland area, we have 2 grocery stores we're currently in, working on some more, and we're excited to announce those soon. But for now, we're in a Dill Pickle Food Co-op. That's in Logan Square. And we're in a Sugar Beets grocery store food co-op in Oak Park.
Can folks solicit their grocery stores and say, hey, there's this great bread I tried or that I'm interested in, I'd like to buy it from your store?
Yes. So you're just on top of it. We've been sending. We just started sending out our subscription. So we just launched our subscription. It's called the Private Bread Club. You subscribe and you get your bread once a month, whether you want a 2-pack, 6-pack, or a 10-pack. You once you subscribe, you get it once a month around the same time every month. And so that's one part of it. But in terms of grocery stores, it's important for us to be in your nearest grocery store, and whatever it takes, we have to work as a community to make that happen. We're starting 100 years behind. The sliced bread industry started in the early 1920s, right? We're in 2021, and we're just now getting representation. And so, as you can imagine, it's not as easy as people might think to get into a field or I'd say an industry that we've not had any representation in. And so, a few steps. So, one, in your nearest grocery store, you can one, ask for the manager, not assistant manager, ask for the manager, right? And 2, ask them, will Black Bread Co. be in the store soon? Or if not, if they say no, they haven't heard of us, you can ask for the corporate email and corporate phone number to contact that grocery store. All right. And then most importantly, once you email a call, right, you request or demand the Black Bread Co. Because again, we want to make sure we're accessible to everybody. Right. I think when some brands start, they only want to be with this certain demographic, that certain demographic. No, we want to be a household name in every house, every home in the U.S. and beyond. So yes, all your support and advocacy for Black Bread Co. is greatly supported. I mean, appreciate it.
Well, I'm a Juneteenth baby, and so that summer celebration has always been special to me. I cannot wait to make my burger or hot dog.
No,
with some black bread on Juneteenth. Are you kidding me?
Yes, it only makes sense. It only makes sense.
So awesome! Congratulations to you all. Tell us again where folks can find you. What's that website?
Absolutely. Our website is blackbreadco.com. On Facebook, the Black Bread Company, Black Bread Co. And on Instagram, the Black Bread Co.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all three of you.
Twitter, the Black Bread Co.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for the time.
Sure. Up next, we have 2 women who have kind of covered every element of entertainment and with this hair. We need someone, a cosmetologist on here to help me with this hair. 2 women who have covered, almost every aspect of the entertainment business, from music to food to culture, truly. Chicago culture specifically, in the greater sense, and that plays out in the names of their businesses. Let's welcome Joan Sullivan and Cherie. Do we have everybody? Cherie Lee and Joan Sullivan, come on down. We're working out some technical difficulties. I'll say this. What it seems to be the growing trend, and I'll ask the ladies about this, is continuing to educate, continuing to be hungry, continuing to find curiosity in what you do. Oh, well, here we go. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To the party. Tell us about how you all have come to work together.
So I guess I'll start. It's been 18 years now since I've been in this business. We started with the label Kingdom Records with our first flagship artist, Shekinah Glory Ministry, who actually is celebrating 20 years this year for Praise is What I Do. So we started that label and with the artist 20 years ago, and Cherie Lee was a member of Shekinah Glory Ministry, and we go to the same church, and that's where Shekinah Glory Ministry hailed from, Valley Kingdom Ministries International. And since that time, we have created 3 more label imprints and about 26 artists that we've worked with, including Kim Stratton and Phil Tarver, and even the Whispers. We did their very last project, which was a gospel album called Thankful. And at some point, probably around 2017, Cherie, who's been in this business, she's trained in music. We asked her to come on board to be our A&R director for the music. And then that was about 2017, and here we are now in 2021. But in 2019, we decided to take it further. Her husband, Robert Lee, and I know she can talk a little bit more about this. He used to work with me for another business that we had, which was Kingdom Catering. He's a chef, and he loves to cook. He's always done it for as long as I've known him. And so we stumbled on this new business in 2019 that we now call Culture. And they are my business partners, along with my other business partner for my consulting company, Urban Ideas, which is Mike Towns. The 4 of us created Culture. So we brought music and food together. And Cherie, you can go ahead.
That's it in a nutshell. We laugh about this because on one side of the business, she's my boss. On the other side of the business, we're business partners.
But talk a little, because these are your backgrounds are in 2 of the most difficult industries to find success in. Music, entertainment, which is highly subjective, and food, which is, if people are more particular about anything than the music they listen to, it might be what they eat. So how have you paved a way to stand out in the competition?
Well, one of the ways as it relates to the food, so my husband, like she said, is the chef. The reason we had to have a restaurant is because people would literally show up at my house to eat. And then they showed up with to-go containers. And so people just knew on Sunday he was cooking a big Sunday dinner, and I am not playing. Joan will tell you. Yeah. People would show up and they would stay for hours and eat. And I'm like, okay, look. So this Culture was actually my 25th wedding anniversary present from him. Oh. He had me meet him at this place, and when I thought we were going to dinner or something for our anniversary, and we got to what's known as Culture now, and he said, "You like it?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And he's like, "I want to buy it." And I'm like, "Oh, we just buying." That's what we doing. And so he was like, "Yes, it's perfect. It marries both of our passion. You with the music and me with the food." And so I said, "Oh, okay." But I knew that it was a big project because, we have a nice size location. And so I said, "Can I call Joan?" Because we were looking at like huge venue spaces. I'm so glad we didn't do that in the pandemic. He was like, "Okay, sure." And so I literally called Joan that day. They met us up there that evening, and the rest is history. So
talk about the naming of the restaurant or the space, because it's so much more than just about food there. It seems that the name Culture plays on every element of what makes you guys special.
Well, it's funny because
that is a funny story.
it's a funny story. So we both have grown children, and we got on a conference call one day and said, "Hey, we're about to buy this space. We need a name." We literally, with Jones' 2 grown children and my 3 grown children, and our business part, we literally just brainstormed on the phone one day what we were going to call it. And so we talked about what we wanted to put forth and what we wanted culture to represent. And it just, I think I came up with the name. I said culture, but everyone,
after many turns and the young people telling us, you all are really old, because those are some whack names you all are coming up with.
what got thrown out? Tell me what didn't make it.
It was just, well, first of all, it was, we can't even get into it. We were, they were like, no, absolutely not. So, no, we won't even go into it.
Okay.
But when we said culture, it immediately everybody was like, that's it. And so we started researching, because we're like, it gotta be a restaurant named Culture. It has to be a restaurant named Culture. And we found a lot of culture, this, something culture, but we never found just culture. And so that's it. That's the culture.
Yeah. What is it though? What culture is being presented to folks when they come in the door? What is the welcoming experience that has made this a good place to be?
I think it's one of the things that we did with the marrying of the food and the music is that we have a stage, full back line, and it's got the restaurant feel because it was seating, but it's got the stage so the performers can perform, and there's no bad seat in the place, and then a full bar, and so and it's a nice vibe. That's what we hear from a lot of people, and so that was the one thing when we walked in, everybody just kind of shook their head and said, "Yes, this we can make work."
So
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
And I think one of the things that people always talk about is because we're very hands-on owners. We're there, we're at culture. And people always say that they feel like they're a part of family when they walk in. And so that means so much to us. Because a culture is not just food, it's not just entertainment. We literally have games. Well, the pandemic kind of shut that down, but we have games in these cubbies that you could just grab and play games at the table, and cards, and we have a fireplace, and we have a baby grand piano, and we have couches. So people, it's not just coming in to hear live music, but it's really coming in. And we wanted it to be a place where people can just kind of escape for just a moment. And that's what people tell us, that, what we wanted to put out is what happens when they come in culture.
You've made it feel like your house, where people were going there on Sunday, because as good as the food is, I'm sure, they were coming to your house because they felt welcome.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
And be there.
Yeah, and it's not unusual for people. They're in there, they're sitting down, and next thing you know, they get on the piano. When we're not, and we do live music every day that we're open. We have live music.
How has the pandemic impacted this? Where are you right now in recovery?
Well, we actually opened on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2019. And imagine that we were closed on March 14th. It was, and it's been an up and down. And we were really doing real well in those first 3 months as people were getting to know culture and coming out. And then it all stopped. And by the midsummer, as with everyone else, when they opened back up, for outdoor, we jumped on board with that and opened again. And then they let us go inside. And then back in October, here we are down again. And so it's been that type of thing. And one of the things that we like to do at Culture is to give artists an opportunity to perform. And because we know that it has been difficult during COVID, And a lot of them have been, sitting at home. And we do realize, even from the record label standpoint, that artists make most of their money, 80% of it, from performing. And so every time that we've been opened back up, we've brought to the stage artists so that they can, receive some funding and do what they know to do best, their art.
That's wonderful. Well, you guys are in Homewood, right?
Yes.
So I grew up in the Homewood, Flossmoor area a long time ago when it was a lot fewer chocolate chips in the cookie than there are now out there. But it's Homewood, that downtown kind of district in Homewood, downtown Flossmoor, downtown Home, have always been really welcoming to small businesses. Have you found a lot of support from the community?
Absolutely. As soon as we moved in to Homewood, we joined the Homewood Business Association. As soon as people started hearing, they're like, oh, I'm going to add you to Mothers and Fathers in Homewood, the Facebook group, and we're adding you to the Homewood Facebook group. And so Homewood, as the municipality, has been extremely welcoming for us.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that we needed, when we called, they really have been there for us. And then the community, what we hear a lot is we needed this, we needed something like this. And so to hear that is great. It's been a great experience. And each time we've closed, people are like, you're going to come back and we need you and we're going to be there. And as soon as you open, we're coming. And when I say they have kept their word, and every single day, we've only been open for 2 weeks, but every day open, we've been full. So that's, really been great for us because, we didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Favorite item on the menu? If you could eat anything in there for a week, what would it be?
1, 2, 3, salmon.
Okay, well, I should sign up for that, but
the salmon.
He's got salmon sliders. He's got salmon salad. He's got salmon with the sides of mashed potatoes and string beans and rolls. It's crazy.
What makes it so special?
I don't know. We're trying to figure it out, and I don't know. And I'm literally, some days I say, okay, I'm not going to get the salmon, but it's so good. And we've cut back on our menu because of COVID, just, for budgetary reasons and things. But the salmon and the wings, because the wings literally fall off the bone, people go crazy for those.
Right. So. I was about to say, and my second one is Asian wings. So between those two, those are my favorite. I'm not a beef eater. So, people do come and they get the burgers, but yeah, those are our favorites.
Good. Well, where can folks find you all?
So we're on all social media at That's the Culture, and that is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're also Chicago Creed at Chicago Creed for the record label side.
We're in downtown Chicago in the Music Garage in the West Loop.
Yes, for the record labels. So our website for the record labels is chicagocreed.com. And then our website for culture is that'stheculture.com.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to sitting down. I do love a good burger, but I probably should have maybe, like you said, the salmon slider. We'll combine the two. Sit down and enjoy a meal with you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. All the best.
Tyra. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So up next is a friend of mine, a friend of mine. When I say that, she has been amplifying voices since I've met her, whether it was the voice of a celebrity or the voice of someone looking to kind of make a social impact, or whether it was a festival. She's gone to amplifying the largest sounds in the city. some that are rocking the beachfront. I'm going to bring in the rest of the team. I see Reggie and Mark, Lady D. Are you coming in? I can tell a joke. Hey, once there was a guy from Nantucket.
On my way in, I'm on my way in. Oh, yes. I'm on my way in. Is it just me? Oh, there is. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I thought I'd sing for you guys, huh?
Well, Tyra was about to tell a joke, so let's hear this joke.
No, we'll leave it.
So
There once was a guy from Nantucket.
Tyra, we know this is your show in which you host, and we are so grateful and privileged to have you as a host. But right now, we want to celebrate you as one of the women in history of people who are doing, surprise, 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 people who are doing some magnificent work in the city of Chicago and also in the universe. I just say universe because you do listen. WGN spreads all over the world. So we wanted to celebrate you. I know one's supposed,
and not just spread, but they're number one.
Yes.
We are
I know my sister Warren is supposed to be next, but we wanted to kind of take a detour and surprise you.
Okay.
And
should I get up? Is there a man with a check and a ring and a pizza at my door? In that order, by the way.
In that order.
And a pizza.
Check and then a pizza. Now listen, here I go, an attempt to do something that I probably get. She's just gonna knock me completely out because this is her world. So Reggie, we need to bounce off each other because we say ask the wrong question in the wrong fashion. She gonna get me later, but because this is what she do. We actually had a conversation about that yesterday. Like, no, you're not prepared for this, so I'm just not gonna bring you on. But Tyra, tell us a little bit about how you got started, what you to where you are now. How did you get started in your career at this point?
I'm much better on the other side of this arrangement, but yes, I was an intern. I started out as an intern. I thought I was going to go to law school. Realized at some point that I didn't want to take that many more tests, be stressed and broke for that much longer. But I liked presenting information. I liked telling stories. I liked asking questions. And those were all the same skills that I think would have made me a good attorney, that make me a good journalist. And so started taking some other classes, got home, finished school, got home, worked at a day spa, worked at the Gap. I worked at a back rack for a little while, which was hilarious.
That was my store. That was my store.
Was it? Yeah. I knew how to lay all the ties out. I could show you any mock turtleneck or pocket square, all of that fun stuff. Worked at the back rack in Lincoln Mall. And my parents were like, you need to either get a real job or go back to school. I want to give credit to, since we're celebrating women and talking about how people get to where they are. When I was working at Mark Allen as a receptionist, and this is all within a period of about 18 months when I was trying to figure out what exactly was going on. There was a lady named Rita Wack who used to come in every week for a standing appointment with a hairstylist named CJ. And before she would pay, she would say, when are you leaving here?
Wow.
What are you doing?
Wow.
What is next? Every week. And it pushed me to take care of business when she could have just been a very nice Black lady in and out of the salon every week. She'd say, what are you doing? What did you get done this week? When are you leaving here? Wow. And so I started taking classes at Governor State. Again, just wasting time and other people's money. Took a bunch of classes, landed in a writing for radio class and really liked it. Took writing for TV and did really well. And the advisor said, you may want to start looking at our mass comm program. You seem to enjoy those classes. You did really well. Why don't you look at that? Took a TV production class, and it was the the light that went off. So it took everything that I was good at and the things that I wanted to be better at and kind of put me on that path. I got an internship at WGN, a writing internship, wrote for them for 6 months. They hired me out of the internship, and I have been at GN ever since. I created my first segment there as a writer, which also was the first sponsored segment that WGN's Morning News had. I love, like everybody, and like half the people we've talked to today, loved music and entertainment. And this is when CDs or music came out every Tuesday. And I was at a record store and I happened to notice that they had music videos playing on a monitor. And I asked the owner of the store, you know, how can I get those videos? I work at WGN, you know, you pull out your little raggedy card, you know, lipstick on it, and it's been in your wallet too long. But the WGN logo is impressive. People respond to the call letters. And he said, you know what? We get a couple of them. If you come in every week, I'll give you it's a VHS tape. It's got all of them on there for the highlighted releases of the week. I'll give you the VHS tape and you can use it on air if you just give us a mention. Sure. So we did that. New Music Tuesday on WGN was born. It became the first sponsored segment bringing money into WGN in the show's history. And from there, I started booking bands that were showing up at the record store that were going to be in town as associated with their release. And segments were born. I've never been afraid to talk to anyone. So when there was some celebrity red carpet thing happening, I'll go, you know, stick a microphone to whoever stays. And it kind of happened naturally and organically. Now I'm super insanely blessed to be the senior segment producer for the morning show there. I'm also the executive producer of our community affairs programming with People to People, which is another passion, is telling not just stories, but telling our stories. Mm-hmm. You know, you go sit in city panels and conversations and they say, you know, we never see any good news about Black people on TV. Well, this is where those stories are being told. So I always say support whatever channel you watch, find out what their community programming is and support it, because that's the news that you say you want to see. That stuff is not going to show up on the 10 o'clock news. It's showing up at a different time. We have to watch it and support it so that it becomes as big as those other programs.
Wow. Tyra, that's an amazing journey, and just having that push, that one push,
yeah,
is what led to all of this, and that's amazing. And it also goes to letting us know that we never know who we're touching and how we are touching them if we just encourage them to do something more, to encourage them to keep doing what they're doing or take a different path. What is your end goal? What is your end goal? That's amazing.
You know, I don't know. I haven't figured, and you go through what your second life looks like in any industry. In TV, it tends to be PR. I don't think I want to do that. I would love to help PR people do PR better.
We got a story behind that.
Right. Oh, yeah. I don't want to do it, but I can tell you what we need on the other side of that transaction. And I think that's part of where the disconnect lies, or the frustration for both parties is that they don't really understand what we need. So they can't give it to us. And a lot of times we're not speaking the same language. So I'd love to be able to give folks the tools so everybody is on the same page and everybody eats when everybody's doing well. But I just like telling stories. And so I think I'll never stop doing that. So whatever venue or application of that is that comes along, and I'm prayerful. I'm a believing woman, so I'm prayerful for whatever that is to present itself. But I also am looking for it.
Awesome, and we definitely appreciate all that you do for Next Showcase. Since the relationship has started, you have been a true friend of Next Showcase. Some of the artists that have had the amazing opportunity to perform on WGN Morning News is all because of Tyra Martin, and having that experience at the Next Showcase, and you seeing talent that you liked and wanted to get them some exposure. So we definitely appreciate you taking time out to do Chat and Chill every month. we definitely appreciate you. We just want to let you know we love you, and definitely you are an inspiration. Definitely an inspiration.
Yes. And again, we're not gonna have so many questions because we want to make sure we ask the right questions. We not gonna interview you because what you're not gonna do is get me on live. But I will ask you this: out of all your favorite, out of all your interviews that you have done, what would you say was your favorite interview that you've done to this point? And
for Chat Chill?
No, not for Chat and Chill, just period, overall.
Well, there's some that became very popular. So they're my favorites in one way because they literally mark a chapter in entertainment historically, kind of in a corner that was turned with the way people do things. Some of the conversations and fun that I had in interviews with like a Morgan Freeman or a Russell Brand don't happen anymore. Because that Me Too corner came. And it's a hard left going the other way. So some of those are special to me. I'm trying to think of.
I love the interview you did with Denzel Washington. The story behind him.
My first Denzel interview.
Yeah, your first Denzel interview.
So, Mark, do you know this story?
No, I don't know this story.
So, my first Denzel, I've interviewed Denzel, I think 9 or 10 times, more than 10 times, I think. Over like a 16, 17 year period. So my first Denzel was for Manchurian Candidate. And it was a big junket, a big deal movie. I was obsessed with Denzel. I was the kid who, like Whitley Gilbert on Different World had a picture of Denzel on her. I had a picture of Denzel. I believed in some imaginary world as a teenager that this could happen. I could end up with, yes, he's married. Things don't always work out. This could happen. and I admired his talent, just an incredible actor, and was able to transform into, all these different people, Stephen Biko, and, eventually Malcolm X, and just he could become all of these different things. I was enamored in every sense, professionally, and he's Denzel, so he's cute. So I was excited and anxious. I had planned like outfits and all this stuff. Anyway, the way junkets work is that you're in a hallway. Most of the reporters are in a hallway, and then you go in and out of these rooms to hotel rooms to interview the people. So I had kept my composure until they put me outside Denzel's room. Denzel was coming up next for me. And there's a bunch of people outside the room waiting to go in, sitting in chairs. And he's got a big booming voice. I could hear him in the room. And you want to talk about like just beads of just anxiousness, but in like the best, the most awesome way. I could hear him laughing and talking and sounding like Denzel in there. And it was like, oh my God, this is real. This is going to happen. You are going to talk to Denzel. Have my little questions in mind, still trying to be a professional, but he's in that room, like right there. Like Santa, like a kid waiting in the line to go see Santa. Just like, oh my God, I'm going to tell him all these things. So anyway, they took a break. One of the production team's family was there, and they wanted to meet Denzel. So someone had gone in to get Denzel and bring him out. The door opened, and out walks Denzel, close enough to touch. Just like my soul left my body. And I was just a shell sitting there. Anyway, I whispered, I thought. Sitting next to me, I was like, oh my God, I cannot look at him. I mean, it was more than I knew eventually I had to go in there, but this was more than I could have. I hadn't expected to be that close to him. I hadn't expected to be with him outside of the room. So I was like, I cannot look at him. Oh my God. So on his way back in, like they take a little break, on his way back in, he walks by and does this. Little fingers. Okay, now I'm mortified. Because why am I this loud? Secondly, he knows I'm anxious. So anyway, I go in, and the interview is on my social media if anybody ever wants to watch it. But I give this whole big long rambling speech about how, look, I'm super, nervous. I'm such a great admirer of you. If I pass out at any point, just keep talking about the movie. Because I got to bring this interview back to work, and it can't just be like paramedics or whatever coming to work on me. So anyway, we get through the interview. It's fine. He, again, sharp as a knife, brings it up at the end of the interview and says, see, you made it. You didn't pass out or anything. Once the interview was over, I got up to go, and I should have just this is the lesson. Get out clean when you can get out. I go over to thank him and to shake his hand, to touch the Denzelness, to just make a contact with it. And I shook his hand easily for about a minute, just talking and shaking and talking and shaking and talking. And he said, can I have my hand back? Yes, Mr. Washington. And I exited and somehow came to my composure. But yeah, the Denzel, and he would go on to be a friend in interviews. We knew each other. He knew me by name. He knew where I was from. Would remember different stories that we shared before and after the interviews. And I have been given a life that I never, ever could have imagined.
Wow. So I have one more question for you, and you brought something up, and so I want to flip the page just for a minute to be sort of a serious content here. So we just come off of Black History Month, and now we're in Women's History Month, and so you mentioned a point earlier about the Me Too movement. So my question to you: have you had any challenges being a strong Black, educated woman in your field? Have you had any challenges anything that you had come across that's like, whoa, since you've been doing this in your field?
Related to Me Too?
Related to Me Too, or just challenges overall, just being a strong Black educated woman over this, this system and this network in which you are at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an uncommon story. I've been in meetings where I present an idea and it is not received, and then a man in the room presents an idea almost shadow to what you did, and the crowd goes wild, and you think, am I drunk? Like, didn't I just say that? I just said that. So there's that, and that plays with both gender and race. There are I tell a story, the one time I cried at work was well, not the one time, but like the one time I cried over work at work was I had the opportunity to book Martin Luther King's personal attorney, who was the firsthand witness to some of the most incredible moments of not only Black history, not only our civil rights journey in this country, but American history, world history, really, when you think about what Dr. King was able to accomplish, and with his legal confidant and friend beside him. So this man had unique stories that no one else can tell. And I mentioned it, he's got a book tour coming up. I'd love to have him on the show. The crowd was lukewarm. Well, it's not like it's February. Maybe if it was February, I'm like, okay, well, we can do Black stories outside.
Not in February.
February. Like 11 other months where Black people are alive.
We're still Black.
Right, we're still Black. March through January, still Black. And so people were kind of like, I don't know, it's an attorney, is he going to be interesting? So he's got yes, I've looked at the book. The book is super interesting. He's got firsthand accounts of history. Well, I could see if it was, MLK Day, then maybe that's the tie-in. Look, Martin Luther King is interesting all the time. So we don't have to wait to sing, celebrate on the King holiday. We can make it work anytime. And they're like, well, we'll think about it. Maybe it's worth a SOTBO was the solution. And that's, a sound on tape with so it would be like, earlier this week, we talked to, I think John, whatever his last name was, blah, 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 Dr. King's personal attorney. He spent years with him, blah, blah, blah. Here's what he said about X, Y, Z. That's what they were hoping to do with it. So I sat back. We continued to pitch, other producers continued to pitch ideas. And a colleague of mine, who's a good friend, said that he had a pet psychic that he wanted to book. He wanted to bring in the pet psychic, and maybe the anchors could bring their pets in, and this, right? But exactly, this person could read the pets' minds, and the room, you would have thought somebody came through there with a money gun. It was like, they loved it. Could not deal. Oh my God, I can't wait. So you're gonna bring your dog? Maybe I'll bring the cat. Everybody was super excited. And I was like, am I in the Twilight Zone?
What is this?
My knee, you know how like when old people, and I guess we're those old people now, but you know how like when old people get mad and their knee starts tapping?
Mm-hmm.
I could feel I could look at my notebook jumping. I was like, oh God. Let me get out of this room. So once the meeting was over, I went to the bathroom and I cried. I was just so disappointed. I was disappointed. Like, did I not present him well? Did I not make him as exciting as I feel he is? You know,
or at least more exciting than a pet psychic.
At least more exciting than the pet psychic. So, you know, there's been challenges, and the guy that presented the pet psychic is a white guy, great guy, but his ideas were at the time, you know, and in some instances, you know, still are better received, even if it's an idea that I had previously. And he's acknowledged it. That's the thing. There were a couple of guests that I had him present. So yeah, it's complicated. It's tough being a Black woman in a space where there's not a lot of Black people, and not even, you know, TV tends to have a lot of women on one side of the business, but not on the other. And so, yeah, so definitely some difficulties.
Wow. Well, I will say again, congratulations on all your accomplishments that you have done thus far. There's so many more to come, and you're still an example of how, if you're just being persistent, how a strong Black woman can succeed. I know I will continue, and we always continue to praise the fact that we have our first African American / Asian vice president, and which, I mean, that's incredible. But not just that, so many of our African American women have been doing so many incredible things throughout the year, and you're definitely one of those. I know we had to put one on the flyer because we knew that you wouldn't like jump in and do what you're supposed to do, so we had to trick you and surprise you at the same time. Okay.
Oh, one's not coming?
So we're gonna have one come on a little bit later on. We're gonna have her come on another show, so we had to trick you up in order to make sure that we get you. As I said, now Reggie, how are we gonna do this now? Because you know Reggie's getting an interview. Me, I'll just be all over the place. I said, she gonna get me like, okay, what question do you want me to ask? What question do you want me to answer? But that's what she does. And like I said, we have so many great stories and just things about that. But I will say about Juan and you and myself and Reggie, we actually literally, because of Juan, we were connected and we met because of one an event that she did. So, and I think it was Dwayne Wade.
Yeah. Oh, I know the first time I remember meeting you, Mark, was Dwayne Wade. We were on the panel.
Right.
Looking, watching people audition.
Right. Right. Then okay, so that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother. I
heard one more person sing "I'm Going Down" by Mary J. Blige. I was going down. Go down and stay down.
Stay down. Yeah, and so we connected then, and we've been connected ever since. And then when we came up with the concept of Next Showcase on USA, again, we had to think of some things to do. And Juan came in, she was like, you know what, just not have a showcase or a competition, and then not have panelists, but have panelists on there that can actually offer the talent something that would help them with their career. And I was like, well, I don't know. I just know she's, heavyweight at WGN, but I'm just going to ask her anyway, not knowing the fact that WGN, she also had the segment where you also include talent. And so from that point on, the relationship has even built. And so you have been such a blessing to Next Showcase USA, as well as the talent. And so, and she's still doing it, guys. I brought this concept to her about, hey, we want to do Chat and Chill, a serious component of Next Showcase USA, because anything about the Mark Hubbard Show is nothing serious there at all, period. So we want to have a serious component where we actually get in depth and actually talk to people about their careers, and what better person to do it other than Tyra. She just said yes, just automatically, no questions asked, and just, of course the professional questions asked, what is it about, what I'm going to be doing, but hey, yes, I would love to be a part, and you have been a blessing to this segment as well, and so many more things are going to happen as it relates to the Next Showcase USA Chat and Chill segment, because we're actually going to turn into the Tyra Martin Show, because that's what it is, okay? But we love you.
At your invitation, and you, Reggie, and I appreciate working with you guys. It's never been anything but fun and fulfilling, and I'm happy to contribute to what you all do. I think I'm in alignment with the way you think and work and believe, and it's a pleasure and an honor to join you guys. So.
Well, we love you, Tyra. You're not going nowhere. You already know that we are family and stuck together for life. So
we're stuck. Yeah.
We're stuck together for life. So as always, we're gonna let you close out your show. Rich, you got anything else?
No. Again, you said it all. Thank you, Tyra. We definitely appreciate you.
So we let you close out Chat and Chill, and hey, we'll talk a little bit later, okay?
Talk to you later. All right, well, that's the show. I've been tricked, and I'm going to go stand at the door and look for the man with the pizza and the money. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, to all of our amazing entrepreneurs. Chicago is a city that works, they say, and so people are doing that in every field. I think the lesson that we learned across the board is keep at it and stay curious and interested and find new ways to do the things that you want to do. Thank you so much for joining us. Next, we're going to join you again later this month with a great conversation with Cynthia Erivo, who is the star of one of the Aretha Franklin biopics that is coming up. This is a series that Nat Geo is doing, and so she's super excited to talk about that. We'll have that for you and lots of things, and Juan will join us at some point to talk about all the amazing contributions that she makes to our community and to the world. So thank you. Be safe. Wash your hands.